up everybody, Superdrukes fan here for another car review. This is of course the DMC DeLorean from Back to the Future. Huge thanks to Steel City Time Machine for hooking me up with this very awesome opportunity to review this car for you guys today. So about the Back to the Future Time Machine. Well, it's one of the coolest and most iconic movie cars of all time, and just seeing this thing just makes everyone giddy. I mean, just filming this video, we've had several people come up to us already and stop and look and take pictures, and it's incredible. I mean, you know, of all the cars in all the movies out there, I think this is probably the one that sticks in most people's minds the most, and it's just so cool looking. I mean, the DeLorean on its own is a very cool looking car anyway, and then having all the attachments and the smoke and all the cool stuff inside, it's just cool. And yeah, I mean, it's just stood the test of time now. 30 years that this has been around, and it still fascinates people of all ages, and I think that really speaks to just how powerful the movie and the car itself is. So this one is extremely accurate to the movie. This isn't one of the screen used cars or anything. The person just you know, paid to have it converted over to a time machine version, and but it's extremely accurate with all the cables. It has, this is the one from the first movie, so it has the plutonium chamber in the back instead of the Mr. Fusion thing, and otherwise, I mean, everything is just accurate from every little detail, and it's really sweet. Right, so for the interior of the DeLorean here, well, of course you have these gullwing doors you pull up on and close, a nice solid thunk. If I say the word cool a lot in this review, you'll have to bear with me. It's just, I'm just geeking out right now. So, before I talk about the normal stuff like I do in a car review, all the stuff you have in here, anyone that's watched the movie is familiar with all this stuff, but you have, yeah, you know, your way you can put in the date that you want to go back to whenever you're traveling in time, and you have a flux capacitor here, right here over my shoulder, and all these other millions of buttons that are all screen correct. It's exactly how it was in the movie, and it's so cool. And looking over here to the right hand side, you have your plutonium chamber and all that kind of stuff, and just, oh man, it's just super cool. So anyway, as far as an actual DeLorean goes, you have these seats here, which are not very heavily bolstered. They're kind of strangely shaped, and they're not the most comfortable seats, obviously. This is a early 80s vehicle, so it is what it is, but they're fine, of course. Anything in this car is going to get a pass because it's a DeLorean, 1, and 2, it's from Back to the Future, so it could be horrible and I would be totally okay with it. But next is the steering wheel in the DeLorean here, which is actually a nice leather-wrapped wheel. It has a kind of this I'd say it's like an 830 and 330 a grip here on the wheel. It's a pretty nice feeling, and it's a smaller wheel. You got some buttons on it here as well, and very cool to have that. Next though is the gauges in the DeLorean here, which are very cool, and like every car from the 80s here for the most part, the speedometer only goes up to 85 miles per hour, which is especially inconvenient in a car that needs to get to 88 miles per hour in order to travel back in time. So that's why you have this auxiliary thing up here, and you set that to 88, and then you're good. Right, so come along to the center of the dashboard of the DeLorean. Well, it doesn't share a whole lot with the original DeLorean because, of course, everything had to be taken out in order to make room for all the time machine stuff. One thing that's not correct from the movie that he has in here is a backup camera, because with, you know, obviously you can't see anything behind you, and so that's necessary and a very smart thing. Otherwise, though, here you just have the control board for setting what date you want to go back to in the past or in the future, and very, very just cool to have that. And, of course, October 21st, 2015 is the correct date for when they actually went to the future, and so it's very cool to be able to post this up on today as well. But other things, now this one is an automatic. The one in the movie was a manual, of course, but that makes it easier just for cruising around because you're not doing any kind of sporty driving in this anyway, so fine to have an automatic. And then you have this little lever here you can flip on, and you have, of course, the flux capacitor behind you that makes time travel possible, and it's just so cool to have that thing blinking behind you here. And otherwise, though, you know, as far as the DeLorean goes in general, you know, it's not too much headroom. So I'm 5'9". There's little cutaways here in the doors, but there's not a whole lot. I'd say if you're probably 6 foot or taller, it'd be a little bit of a tight squeeze, I think. Otherwise, though, it's, you know, it's fairly cramped with all this stuff in here, but in a regular DeLorean, I think you'd have enough room that it'd be a comfortable car to drive every day. But, you know, of course, there's no storage space or anything like that, but who cares? All right, so let's start off and go for a drive. So, of course, this is a 1982 DeLorean, by the way, and so the key is just a standard key. Just slip it in and starts right up. All right, so setting off in the Back to the Future DeLorean. So first thing, this car does not have power steering and doesn't really have power brakes either. So it's an interesting feeling here, and going for low acceleration, trying to merge onto the highway here, and doesn't have a whole lot of power either, but that's okay because this car is, of course, the Back to the Future time machine, but it has enough power to get up to 88 miles per hour. That's all you need anyway, but it is a nice thing to drive. You know, it's pretty smooth here, and you know, these cars actually have only 130 horsepower. Now, Mr. DeLorean originally wanted 200 horsepower, which is actually pretty cool because these cars only weigh about 2,700 pounds for the curb weight, and so it's almost like the same formula as a BRZ, 200 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, 2,700 pounds. But because of the emission standards and things in the 80s, originally it was downgraded to 170 horsepower, and then they also had to put an extra 40 horsepower robbing emission system on it. So it's only 130 horsepower in the end here from this V6 engine. And so because of that, it's you know, not going to be the fastest thing around. But it's, again, it's enough power. Of course, any DeLorean, you're not driving it fast or spiritedly. You're just going for a nice little cruise and making everyone's day with having them see the Back to the Future car. So it's totally fine, of course, and nothing to critique. But yeah, it's super cool, obviously, you know, to have all this stuff around you. And this is just I mean, I never thought in my life that I'd be driving the Back to the Future time machine. This is just insane. And so yeah, I really wish that we could get up to 88 miles per hour and actually go back in time, but of course it doesn't work that way. But it's still cool just to, you know, enjoy the movie magic, and it's a great driving car though, honestly. You know, as far as normal car review kind of stuff here, visibility is very good actually for the most part, aside from out of the back. You know, these side windows are very large, and you know, you have a blind spot here with the speed pillar, but as long as your mirrors are set up properly, you're fine actually. And you know, you can see around you pretty well. And like I said, he added this rear view camera, so you can see what's going on behind you, which is essential because otherwise you don't even have a rear view mirror. But it does a really good job. Just you know, it's a nice cruising car, and I'm just amazed at just how smooth it is. The owner even told me the ride's a little rough, but to be perfectly honest, this is just as smooth as a lot of the luxury cars on the market today right now. So it's pretty impressive. And you know, I think even just back in the 80s, this thing was super cool on its own. I mean, no one was making cars with this kind of shape really, and it was just, I mean, to have the stainless steel body and everything is just so cool. But you know, it's really, it shifts smoothly here with the automatic. It's easy to drive. It's just a really well-made car. I know there's a lot of people, you know, give these things a hard time for having their little quirks and stuff, but again, you're talking about a car that's over 30 years old. Of course, it's not going to be as awesome as it was brand new, and it's a car from the 80s, which was kind of a dark period as well for cars, so kind of got to give it a pass. But it's just awesome to just be driving it. And there's not really a whole lot else I can say, you know, because I'm not going to, of course, go on a back road and, you know, go on some windy roads or push it or go super fast or anything like that. This car is just all about just enjoying the experience and making everyone else's day around you. But yeah, the brake pedal has a very long travel, and it's kind of a dead feeling once you get there, but that's, you know, it's not power assisted really, so that's kind of just what you get with brakes like that. And of course, it's not like a driver's car. This is not really, it was never really a sports car by any means anyway, but it's just a cool thing just to drive around in. And yeah, and I mean, but it handles nice from the little bit of handling here that I am doing. You know, like I said, because it's no power steering, I mean, it's the best steering feel you'll ever get in a car. I love cars that don't have power steering. I mean, yes, it's a little tricky and tough in parking lots, you gotta use a little muscle, but I mean, the feel that you get and the sensation of steering that you get with a car that doesn't have power steering is really awesome. Alrighty, so little acceleration here. Again, gonna take it easy, but merging onto the highway, we gotta get up to speed anyway. And let's see how it does here. And yeah, the transmission is hesitant to downshift. It's you know, kind of one of the lazier automatics here, but of course it again. Who cares? It's a time machine. But, you know, it gets up to speed fine. Like, you know, I merged onto the highway there without any issues, you know. So, yes, it's only 130 horsepower, but it's really not that bad, honestly. And there's a whole lot, just an intake adds like 6 horsepower to these. And, you know, there's a whole lot of things you can do to improve these vastly. And so, you know, it's a very easy car to make faster if you want to. And, but I mean, you don't need it. You know, it serves its purpose, and it's perfect just the way it is, I think. Another really cool thing about this car when you're driving is you are sitting pretty low, which is awesome. It gives you a very unique perspective of the road, similar to what you would get in something like a Corvette, cars like that also sit pretty low. And it just feels so special. I mean, every time you drive this car, it's an event. Everything is an event. I mean, everyone around you is taking pictures, and everyone's freaking out and stopping. And you know, you can't just go to the grocery store in this. You can't just. It's a big deal to see this thing out, and it's a big deal to take it out. So it's always exciting. And the craziest thing is, it doesn't cost a fortune to do this either. I mean, you know, you can pick up a DeLorean for, you know, $20,000 or $30,000, and then you can do a conversion, which, I mean, depends on how accurate you want it and, you know, where you go. But I mean, it can be anywhere from, you know, $20,000 to $40,000, to 60 grand or less, to have all this excitement and have people treat you like you're in a $500,000 Lamborghini. It's awesome, and I think people actually appreciate this more than an exotic car because it's from a movie, and it's a very fond memory, and everyone knows that it's a very likable car. And I mean, how could you not like this car? So you're everyone's favorite person on the road. Everyone lets you in when you're merging. Everyone's friendly, and we have people right now taking pictures of us, and that's just the way it is in this. It's really funny. So, oh man, what an experience! Like I said, it's just absolutely awesome. And huge thanks once again to the owner of the Steel City Time Machine here for allowing me to do a review of this today. It's really, I mean, this is an unforgettable day that, you know, comes once in a lifetime, and I'll never forget it. But if you are interested, this vehicle is available for parties and events and things like that. So all the contact info is in the description below. You can check it all out and contact him and have this at your next event or party. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care. We have another person taking video.
Oh, yeah.